My name is Rebekah Windschitl, and I'm a mental health therapist at Youth Service Bureau, and I'm in Stillwater and the Woodbury offices. Today, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to partner with you on this project. I really hope that you find this beneficial. If you have any questions afterwards, please feel free to contact me or contact YSB for additional support. So today, we're going to be talking about depression, what it looks like, what it is, and ways that we can help support each other. And we're going to do that by going through some commonly held beliefs about depression. Teenagers with depression are easy to identify because they're quiet, withdrawn, alone, and sad. This is something that's very widely believed, and it's false. Depression shows up a lot of different ways. It can show up in ways on the outside doesn't match what's going on the inside. So some typical symptoms of depression are sadness, low motivation, problem sleeping, isolation or withdrawal, crying spells, low self-esteem, maybe losing interest in activities, and fatigue or loss of energy. Those are the symptoms that we think of when we typically think of depression. But there's some other symptoms too. There's slowed movement, slowed physical movement, troubles concentrating, irritability or getting easily angered, maybe some anger or aggression, acting out, like fighting or even truancy, refusing to do your work, rigid thought patterns like black and white thinking, meaning it's this way or it's this way and there's nothing in between. And then there's the thoughts of death and suicide. Just because a person has depression does not mean they are suicidal. There are plenty of people out there who have struggled with depression and are not suicidal. So how depression looks. Depression is very different for everyone. Okay, it looks very different. You saw that list of symptoms. There's all those symptoms. It can look very different for everyone. People who have depression still do feel happiness at times. There are spurts of time. Some feel more happiness than others. Depression can come in waves. You can be doing really, really good, have a lot of energy, be getting stuff done, and then a wave of depression might come crashing down and you lose that energy and you get lethargic. It can come in waves. Some days can also be better than others. It's the same way. Maybe you'll have like 1 or 2 days where things are great, and then you've got 1 or 2 days where maybe it's hard for you to get out of bed. People can look happy and even normal and still struggle with depression. What a lot of people with depression do is they put on a mask. They get up in the morning and they put on this mask. This mask says, hey, I'm happy, I'm okay, everything is cool. When in reality, inside, they're really, really struggling. So just because they look like a typical person, they might still be struggling with something on the inside. Depression is not caused by anything that you did. It's not your fault. It's not caused by anything that you did wrong. Depression is caused by a lot of different things. Okay, we call it the biopsychosocial model. There's biological, psychological, social things that all mixed together can create depression. Your physical health, your genetics through your family, your chemicals that are within your brain, family history, life events you've experienced, and even just your environment around you. All those things can mix together to create depression. Mild forms of depression are fairly common and diminish with time. This is true. There's actually quite a few people who struggle with a little bit of depression, and over time it goes away. They might be situational depression, that when the situation resolves, the depression goes away. Teenage girls report more depression than teenage boys. This is true. However, even though they report more, the actual prevalence is 50-50. It's basically split down the middle of how many girls versus how many boys struggle with depression. If a depressed person is really upset 1 minute and then says, oh, it's no big deal, you should just accept that and go about your business. That's false. They're being vulnerable with you. They let their guard down just for a minute and actually shared with you something that they were struggling with. They're wanting to talk. They're looking for support. This is a time where you want to listen. You want to tell them that you care, provide that support for them. They let their guard down, and now is a time that's really good for you to be able to provide that support. A person with depression sees the world completely differently than a person who is not depressed. This is true. So there's a phrase that says, looking at the world through rose-colored glasses. This means that you're looking at the world and noticing all the positive things that are going on. But there's also looking through gloomy glasses, meaning that you really are only seeing the negatives. People with depression often see the positives as little houses. And they see the negatives in life as skyscrapers. Okay? The negatives really overwhelm the positives. It takes a lot of positives to try and overcome those negatives. When teenagers have problems with depression, they go first to their friends for help. This is absolutely true. Teenagers tend to surround themselves with people who understand them and care about and support them, and they're willing to open up to them and let them know what's going on more likely than they are to let their parents know what's going on. Some common methods of coping with depression can make the situation worse instead of better. This is very true. Drugs and alcohol can actually make depression worse in the long run, and trying to avoid depression, just pretending it doesn't exist, actually can push it down deeper. People, like we said earlier, also struggle with depression, can show it outwardly through anger, and that can lead to harming other people. If you're depressed, what helps? Talking to others does help. But if you can't talk to other people, then journaling can be really helpful. Okay, you can get out your thoughts, get out your feelings in a quiet, private area. Even though you might not feel like it, still engage in activities that you do enjoy or used to enjoy. A lot of times what happens is when a person with depression is that when you think about doing that activity, it sounds exhausting. It sounds like just takes too much work, too much effort. I don't want to do it. But if they get themselves started, it gets easier and they start to enjoy it more. Sometimes just getting started is the hard part. Taking care of your body, food, sleep, exercise, all play a huge role in helping depression symptoms. There's a lot of science out there that talks about the food we eat and how it affects our mood, the sleep we have and how it affects our mood, and exercise is a huge thing in treatment when it comes to helping depression symptoms. And then there's challenging negative talk. A lot of people with depression really struggle with talking negatively about themselves. And so it's challenging that negative talk with positive talk. Some people call this positive affirmations, but it's really noticing that you're talking poorly and talking yourself down and trying to challenge some of those thoughts. And one of those resources that we have is Change to Chill. Change to Chill is a free online resource that is basically a whole bunch of coping skills, and it teaches you how to use them. And this is geared towards teens, but it can be used for a lot of other age ranges as well. So how can we support our friends? Sometimes it's better to be a good listener than try and solve the problem for another person.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See,
out.
you're not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just... Sometimes it's like there's this achy... I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
That sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on.
Ow.
If you would just...
Don't...
Try to see things my way. Do I have to...
Okay. So even if you think you know how to fix your friend's depression, often it's more helpful to just listen to how they're feeling. You can ask them if they want your opinion or want your thoughts, but I wouldn't just give it to them or tell them what to do. You just listen to what they have to say, maybe say back to them what they said. It's called validation, validating what they're feeling, and sometimes that's all they really need. And when do you need to seek help? When depression is starting to prevent you from doing things that you want or need to do, when it causes problems within your relationships, when you just don't want to feel depressed anymore and you're open to doing things differently, you're open to trying things. And if you have any thoughts of suicide or self-harm, those are times when you need to seek help. And if you're not sure that your parents are going to have the right answers, you can talk to a school counselor, talk to a teacher that you like or that you trust, talk to a neighbor adult, anybody who's there, who has listened to you in the past. Okay, get help, get support. There's a lot of us out here who really want to help you and support you in everything that you need. You just need to reach out and ask. So that's what I have for you here today. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you learned a few things and that this is going to help you deal with depression yourself if you have it, or help you support your friends.